Hi everyone, welcome to Hot Seat with Cognizant Clay. I am your host, Clayton Terrio. Today on the show we have Jay Onrait. Jay is a Canadian sportscaster, most famous for his time with TSN's Sportscentre here in Canada. He hosts Sportscentre with Dan O'Toole and has done so since 2003. They also do a podcast together. Jay is also a graduate of the TV and Radio Arts program at Ryerson University in Toronto. I hope you guys enjoy it.
Hi, buddy.
Hey, Jay, how's it going?
Good, man. How are you?
Pretty good, with all this COVID craziness going on, the best I can be, I guess.
Yeah, I get it. Here, maybe it'll be better. This is better light here, actually. Okay. I'm just in my garage, so trying to find a good spot for you. Oh, that'll have to do, I think. There, perfect. All
Beautiful.
Right. Beautiful.
So, first of all, thank you so much for doing this, Jay. I really appreciate it.
It's my pleasure, Clayton. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, for sure. So, well, just to start off, how have you been doing during all this craziness?
Well, about as good as anyone could do. I'm very fortunate that my kids and my wife are home with me, and we're all safe and healthy, and people have it, there's so many people who have it so much worse than we do, Clayton, and I think that it's just been an opportunity to spend lots of time. Our kids are very little, so they don't really know what's going on. So for us, it's actually been just fine, and we're just we're looking out for a lot of people who've lost their jobs in our industry. We're really worried about them, and restaurateurs and people who own businesses. I just feel so bad for them. So we're doing okay, and we're continuing to do our show from home. So we haven't missed a beat so much there. So yeah, so knock on wood, everything's going pretty well.
It's good to hear, and I saw your interview with CTV, I think one of the Western ones, saying how she's like, do you miss Toolsy? And you're like, no, not really, I can deal with being from a distance, but it's definitely been different watching the show, but you guys are doing a darn good job keeping it as good as it can be, really, and O'Toole, you guys are still together, whether it be together or from a distance, so there you go, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And everybody's doing their shows from home. So in a way, it was like a unique challenge for us because we wanted to get up and running really quickly, and we wanted to keep on the air while this was going on because we wanted people to continue to get updates on when sports was returning. And now that sports is starting to return, you really feel that momentum, especially in our business. And we are actually heading back. I can give you an exclusive, Clayton, right here on the Clayton podcast. I can tell you that we're returning to studio on Sunday, August the 2nd, which is, as you may know, the Leafs' first game in their return to play. They'll be playing it that day. So very exciting for us. We're excited to get back to studio. Social distancing rules all in effect there, of course, and we'll be a lot further apart. And our camera operators, everybody, producers will be a lot further away from us. But we're excited to get back in the studio and start to do the show, back there again, because there's nothing quite like that feeling of being in studio in our business.
Definitely, for sure. I'm looking forward to that. So as you've been saying, you are a sportscaster here in Canada, and to those who might not know who you are, you originally wanted to follow in your dad's footsteps and become a pharmacist. However, things took a bit of a turn, and you ended up going to Ryerson for the radio and television arts program, and you worked for Global Saskatchewan as well, or Saskatoon, sorry, as well as the A-Channel in Winnipeg for a few years before eventually landing your famous job with TSN Sportscentre. Do you remember sort of when it clicked in your mind that you wanted to go into radio or television?
I think I always wanted to do it, kind of my whole life, but I was kind of too chicken to do it right out of school because, I'm from a very small town on the prairies, and, it's just not something that people from small towns get to do that often, and be on television. And, it just seemed like something that was beyond my grasp. And it took me a couple of years after graduating from high school to realize, no, I could do it. I've got as good a shot as anybody. And I think I had a pretty good work ethic, and I was willing to move. You mentioned I was in Saskatoon and Winnipeg, awesome cities. And I was excited to go to those cities. I didn't move to those cities sort of feeling like, oh, I can't wait to get back to Toronto. I loved living in those cities and working in those cities. And I think it made me a better broadcaster, a better person. I had a different perspective on the business. And it was just great for me, very valuable. So, yeah, I always wanted to do it, but it just took me a couple of years, I think, to get the courage to really go for it.
Definitely. And I think being on camera, nobody's really ready for it. I'm sure even you still get nervous some days, right? For sure.
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah. I mean, it depends on the situation. If it's the show I've been doing forever and ever, I don't get too nervous ever. But sometimes if I'm interviewing someone that I don't know that well or that I admire, I still sort of get a little bit nervous because, you just want to, you want to do a good job and you want it to come across good to the listener or the viewers. So, yeah, sometimes I do still get nervous for sure.
Definitely. And it took me a while to even start this blog. So I'm 27 now. I had the idea probably, 5 years ago. And I just, I went through a bit of a mental health issues. And then I decided, you know what, it's time to do it. And raising awareness for disabilities is huge. And just leading into my next question, humor is one of my go-to things. And you and Dan together, you mix my two favorite things, and that's comedy and sports. And you're pretty much the two perfect. You mix the two very well. They're very well balanced. I'm just wondering, what is one of your favorite memories from your times with Dan?
Well, it's a great question. There's so many. We've had so much fun. I'll tell you a recent one. We've been doing our podcast for 10 years. And this past fall, we did a tour. We did a live tour out west. Hopefully, when everything returns to normal again and we can do concerts and live shows again, we can keep it going and finish out east. But we did the podcast out west, and it was amazing to bring up things from the show and from the past. We played a bunch of clips from the show, and people just love it and still respond to it. And that's so rewarding, especially to do it for a live audience. Because when you're doing a TV show, you just don't have a live audience on our show, right? So you do have that feedback from social media and Twitter and all that, but there's nothing quite like having people in the room reacting to what you're saying. So this recent podcast tour was a really great memory. As far as a TV memory that really sticks out, I remember once my wife made me bouillabaisse, which is like a fish stew. And obviously one of the pieces of fish that we got was not good. And I got really violently ill at work and couldn't do the show. And Dan had to step in. It was funny, like every single highlight, it was like touch and go whether I would do it or just hand the script to Dan. And I kept handing script after script to Dan. And he ended up having to do the whole show for me. So he always makes me remember that he had to step in that one day that I ate some bad fish soup.
Oh, geez, I could not imagine. Must have been terrible.
It was.
And a lot of the quips, like a lot of my friends and me included, love the podcast. And just, I remember like the first season, the clip, why not, eh? And you guys would always just throw the why not, eh, in all the time, like just randomly. Yeah. And it's just Dan with
sorry to interrupt you, Clayton. Yeah, that was from a clip. The Grey Cup was sort of traveling on a train across the country, and they had stopped in Edmonton, and a couple had actually painted their house in Edmonton Eskimo. They're not going to be called the Edmonton Eskimos anymore. That's big news today. But they're going to keep the colors, the green and gold. And the couple was a big CFL fans, and they painted their entire house in green and gold. And the interviewer said, "Why did you do that?" And they said the paint was on sale. So we said, "Why not, eh?" And that's exactly where the clip came from. So I love when we can hear something like that that's kind of random and continue to make it a part of the show. And the fact that you and your buddies remember it and get a kick out of it is, it's just awesome to hear.
For sure. So I'm going to take a bit of a break here for my rapid fire questions because my guests all love this, and I love just asking random questions in the middle just to, make it cool. So just to start off, so you're born in Calgary, grew up in Athabasca. Who would be your favorite person from Alberta?
Wow, I love that question. My favorite Albertan, it might be the late Leslie Nielsen, who I believe was born in Edmonton. I'm a huge fan. If I was to pick someone newer, it might be Nathan Fillion, who's from Edmonton and the star of The Rookie, and he was on Firefly and a bunch of cool shows like that, Bones. Yeah, maybe someone like that. And then in hockey, Mark Messier, Grant Fuhr, Jerome McGinley, all Alberta guys, good guys. Darcy Tucker, good Alberta guy. So yeah, we have a lot of good Albertans representing. Even Nickelback, I'll give it up for Nickelback, Clay. Even Nickelback.
Oh yeah, everybody always puts Nickelback down. I think they're a great band. You got to have your blue collar bands in there, the hard workers for sure.
Yep.
And second one, what is your favorite thing to eat?
I love Japanese food. Sushi is my favorite thing. If and not just sushi, but yakitori, everything that Japan does, I'm fascinated by, because as a culture, the Japanese, I feel, find things around the world that they love and perfect them. Whiskey, denim, vinyl records, cars, electronics. So I love their food. It's clean, it's beautiful, it's presented so nice, and you feel good after eating it. So yeah, that would be my favorite.
That's a good one. It's I actually interviewed Cabby last month, and he said sushi. So there you go.
There you go.
The sportscasters like their sushi. And so since you're a sportscaster, if you could be any athlete, living or dead, for 24 hours, who would you choose?
Probably Lionel Messi. It seems like it's not that I grew up with soccer, but as I get older, I realized that if you were going to pick one sport to play where you would get true international recognition, get to live in the beautiful city of Barcelona, have the entire world worship you. So being Messi would be pretty good. I probably should say Cristiano Ronaldo because he's better looking, but I'll go with Messi.
I like Messi. Messi's one of my sports idols. He's all class, and
Absolutely.
he doesn't dive.
Absolutely.
He doesn't do any of that. He's just a leader for sure.
That's right. Exactly.
My last question of the rapid fire, and I hate to put you on the spot, but can I get one Bobrovsky?
Sure. Bobrovsky. There it is.
Yes, I love it.
That wasn't hard at all.
My friends and I yell that at each other all the time. You're off the case, Bobrovsky.
I hope it goes well for him. His first season in Florida wasn't so good. So I think a lot of times with free agents, it takes them a while to adjust to their new surroundings. I think he's going to be just fine. The thing about goalies, as you you look at the Dominic Hasek's and Roberto Luongos of the world, and they play, into a ripe old age. And sometimes goalies don't really start to round out into form until they're in their 30s. So yeah, I think he's going to be just fine.
Yeah, he'll be fine. He's got one of the best coaches we've ever seen. So I think he'll be fine. Yeah. And so just getting back into the questions a bit. So as you know, it is a disability awareness blog. So I just wanted to touch on two of your charity works that you've done fairly recently. So at the Sick Kids All-Star Gala in 2018, you were the MC. I just want to know, can you just tell me a little bit about that role and what you were doing there?
Yeah, so it was such an amazing night. It was a true gala. I feel like the word, Clayton, gala is thrown out a little too, loosely, a little too, everybody's got a gala going on, but they're not really galas. The Sick Kids Gala is a gala. I mean, everyone is dressed to the nines. Everyone shows up, has such a good time. And I was really impressed with that event. I thought the organization was so well done. They raised a ton of money for sick kids, of course. And my role was sort of to keep the evening moving along, auctions, that kind of stuff, make sure everything flowed. The only drawback for me was that everyone was having so much fun that I think a lot of the times I was speaking and no one could hear anything I was saying. But that's okay, because I'd rather everyone have a good time, than and then just sit there with their, hands on their under their legs and just sort of sitting there and not having a great time. So I thought it was an amazing event, and my role was very insignificant. I think overall the people who organized it did just such a good job. I would go back and do this same role any day, anytime I was asked.
For sure. And what is it like to do like an event for such a prominent charity in Canada? Like what does it feel like being the MC for that? I'm sure it's pretty crazy.
It's a large responsibility, and you just want to do justice to the charity, to the people who are working for the charity, for the people who are benefiting from the charity. You just want to do justice for it, right? You just want to try to be funny, but not try to be the star of the show, because ultimately the gala is the star of the show. And you just want to keep things moving along. I think one thing I have learned over the years, emceeing so many events, is that, at first I tried so hard to entertain, but I think a little entertainment goes a long way. And then ultimately people just want to get the evening going, right? They want to get moving along, whether there's a dinner, they want to get to dinner, they want to get to entertainment. So I think keeping the process moving is so important. I've learned that over the years. And that night was a great example. Everyone was just having so much fun. It was sort of like, let's just let the evening take its own course.
For sure. And then even the last one, Jack Armstrong hosted it, another TSN employee. And I just love him too. He's just so entertaining. And I remember you and Dan actually did the Amazon Jack Armstrong thing with all the clips from what he says. And I just thought that was amazing. And so the second one I wanted to touch on was rather recent. It was May 22nd, I believe. You did a book reading for Holland Bloorview Rehabilitation Center for Kids, and it was called Angus Superhero Extraordinaire. And I just want to know, how did that idea come about?
It was actually the folks at Holland Bloorview. It was their idea, and it was their book that they chose for me to read. Sometimes I get to do things like that, and sometimes I get to choose the book. In that case, they chose it, and I really thought it was an excellent book. And I was very honored to do that. One of my best friends actually works at Holland Bloorview, and she was the one who sort of asked me to do it. And I, of course, was very happy to do so. And as you know, it was sort of at the beginning of the pandemic. So there was still a lot of uncertainty about everything. And just to take an afternoon and sit down with my daughter and just read the book and maybe hopefully entertain kids for a little bit. And, parents, the kids were all at home, and parents, I think by that point, were trying to figure out what to do with their kids. And so just to have, just a little bit of time, 15, 20 minutes, where I could, take some of that responsibility off the parents, entertain them for a little bit, but also bring some awareness to the great work that the folks at Holland Bloorview do. That was just awesome. And that's another thing I would do in a heartbeat any other time.
For sure. And it's definitely, well, like you say, it's father-daughter time. It helps the parents. And what I thought was great is seeing someone in a wheelchair represented in media, because you just don't see it. And it was really nice. I actually watched the whole thing. So.
Oh, that's awesome. And I totally agree. And I think there are so many children's books now that I think represent the entire scope of humanity better than when I was a kid. I don't know that there was a children's book when I was a kid that had a hero who was in a wheelchair. There's all these amazing books now talking about, anti-racism. And I'm so impressed with the quality and the quantity of good children's books out there. And the Angus book was a great example. That one was awesome.
For sure. And it is cool to see, like, now that we're advancing a little bit, it's great to see stuff like that. And I just wanted to thank you personally for doing that, because, it's like you said, kids don't really know what's going on, but it's still scary because everything's changing. So thank you for giving the kids something to look forward to, because a lot of my friends went to Holland Bloorview when they were younger, my disabled friends. So it was great to see that. Well,
and I think also I was if I could just follow that up.
Yeah. For
my daughter, she doesn't have anyone in her school currently who is in a wheelchair. So for her, it was, I think, an eye opener, and she asked me questions afterward about it, and I actually think that's a good thing. It's exposing her at a young age to the different disabilities and challenges that different people face. And I think that's a necessary thing for her, because it actually breeds empathy. And that is such an important thing at a young age, whether you're talking about people with disabilities, people with different races, everything, right? And you want people to have a really broad an open-minded view of the world. I certainly want my kids to have that. So a book like that, I think, is just such a great way, when a kid is young and they don't necessarily understand all the nuances of people with disabilities, just to have a kid in a wheelchair be the hero of the story, it was just perfect, and then she could start to ask questions and be curious. And so that was great.
It's great to see. And I encourage kids asking questions, because like, how are they supposed to know if they don't ask? And a lot of people say, don't go up to, well, yeah, come up to us all you want. I love answering the questions. I think it's just amazing. Like, kids have thought I've are you a transformer? Are you a robot? Well, no, I have what's called muscular dystrophy, and this is what it does. And I use this to get around. And I know I don't look like you exactly, but I'm still a guy at the end of the day, no matter what I travel in, whether it's an Iron Man suit or a wheelchair. So, and well, that's about all the time we have, Jay. Thank you again so much for doing this. I will send you a link out when it's posted, and thanks for helping me raise the awareness. I appreciate it.
It was my pleasure. I'd love to come back anytime. By the way, I wanted to ask you about your background there. Is that what, tell me about your background. What's going on there?
Oh, that's a tapestry. I just got that today. I love space, and my colors are blue and yellow. So I figured the blue on the bottom with the yellow and a bit of extra color in there looked pretty good.
I like it. It's like the opposite of the Ukrainian flag, which has the blue on the top and the yellow on the bottom. So maybe I'll send you a Ukrainian flag and you can just put it next to it for fun.
That'd be awesome. Why not? Why not, eh? There you go.
Why not, eh? There it is. Perfect. Well, thanks, Clayton. I really appreciate you understanding my limited schedule. I got to get back in here with the kids, but it's awesome chatting with you, man. Keep doing what you're doing, and never hesitate to reach out if you need anything at all.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much, Jay, and hopefully we can stay in touch.
Absolutely. Anytime. Take care, my friend.
Yeah, you too. Have a good night.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.